And we're live.
Oh my God.
Here we are.
We're back.
Back on a Thursday. I think I'll do it this time.
Robert, I was going to say, after last week's debacle, I'm going to allow you to open the beverages this week. So I'm going to pass that over there.
Yeah.
Anyways, what's happening, guys? Thank you for joining. Today we are talking. What are you giggling about already? What? Oh,
somebody's happy to see you.
What's up, buddy? Today we're going to talk a little bit about building a collection. How Rob and I have built our own. What we see as must-haves, I guess, for any good collector. Must-have references, must-have pieces, and we want to kind of get you guys' take as well of what you see. As a well-rounded collection, what are must-haves, what can be overlooked, whatever.
I think one of the things that's really interesting about what we do on a day-to-day basis is that, we meet clients who, some small collections,
Yep.
some very large collections,
Mm-hmm.
some that are very homogenous,
Yeah.
where they clearly have a type
Yes.
and they stick to it because it works, which is great. And then some who are all over the place, with all kinds of different things, and they'll call up and buy things that will take us by surprise because it's just so out of the box. So what we have, if we can get the table view here, is we have tried to pull watches from all kinds of different segments here. So what do we have, Justin?
All right, so we thought about different categories that we think kind of every collection should have, and we grabbed some simple dress pieces, Calatrava style pieces. We grabbed some dressier complicated, dressier complicated pieces. We grabbed non-round watches. We grabbed sport watches, and we also grabbed some independents. So, we definitely, even with this table full of watches, we're not going to cover it all. We're definitely missing things, but we tried to kind of grab like those big categories that we think every good, well-rounded collection should have.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because from what we have on the table here, you could form a very kind of like for like, collection of similar watches, or you could kind of pick one from each place and have something that gives you a watch for every occasion, which is kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, I think before we get started with what's on the table, I think we should kind of talk with the people a little bit and tell them a little bit about our collections and how we kind of approached putting our personal collections together. First off, actually, though, more importantly, cheers.
Cheers.
Thank
cheers
you.
to all
Cheers
of
to all
you.
you guys.
Thank you for joining us, as always.
All right, so as we kind of already referenced, we have a third in the chat today. As we kind of already referenced, or as I've already said, the way that I kind of look at my collection is I like to have a variety of different styles and different pieces. So I really go with, I have my sport pieces. My sport piece, my kind of beater watch, and then I have, my dressier pieces. I haven't quite gotten to the level of, super complicated dressy stuff yet, but
I think it's funny though, because I think about before you became Mr. Cartier.
Yeah.
You were very steel sport watch.
Completely, yeah.
You were very steel sport watch. And I didn't really know you before you worked here. I know you had some vintage stuff, and you had
which I still have,
But when you started working here, you were like all in.
Yeah, it had to be steel sport watch on a bracelet, pretty much, exclusively.
Yeah.
Which I think that may have been part of George. Come on, man. Ted, what's up? Good to have you, man. The part of the reason why I had all of those steel sport watches was because I was at the beginning of my collecting career. I was quite a bit younger at that point, and I didn't necessarily have disposable cash to splash on, something more interesting. Some of the pieces that I'm lucky enough to have now. So, I definitely, I had Speedmasters, I had Explorer 2, steel black dial. I had kind of all those, I had a Le Mans chrono, a Blancpain Le Mans chrono. All these kind of pieces
was not on
that
a bracelet.
It wasn't. It was on a strap. That was kind of the outlier. That was titanium as well. But as things kind of progressed, I've kind of honed the pieces that have really kind of stuck with me, and the styles that have stuck with me, for the long haul. So right now, currently, like my rotation, I have my vintage Rolex Explorer 1016, which is like my beater steel watch.
And that's an 80s watch.
It's an
right?
80s. It's from the end of the production run. I think it's like an 88. It's like it's got that very white lume, which is actually super cool. I love it. I wear it all the time. That's my weekend watch. That's my do anything, go anywhere watch. Yeah. So there's that. My dressier sport watch is what I'm wearing right now. My mid-size AP Royal Oak, which I absolutely love. Incredible piece. I don't think it's going to go anywhere.
No,
I bought it long before things got the prices went crazy on them.
Yeah.
Then I have a Cartier. It is, so I have a 1991 cloche, super cool piece. It's my kind of like little tiny dress watch that it came into the shop and I knew I was never going to see one ever again, so I had to add it to the collection.
And we haven't.
What?
Seen one again?
No, we haven't seen one again. And I would be shocked if we ever do.
Yeah.
And that one's never going anywhere either. And then I have another Cartier. I have my Bamoire, the Elonghi, so the longer oval shaped case, super, just kind of a dramatic. Both yellow gold, both small on the smaller side.
Right, with the skinny straps.
Yep.
It's like very much of that style, like that kind of, which is very in right now, that, smaller.
I was on that train way before
he
everybody
was,
else was.
He was.
But I have those are like my four that I really rotate through. And then
Yeah.
I do have some other pieces. I have a System 51 swatch that I wear whenever I feel like it. I have some other vintage pieces that I throw on every once in a while.
It's funny, I guess those count, but I don't, like in my own collection, I don't think of my G-Shock as being part of my collection.
I don't either.
I wear it, I use it, like,
I have them.
Hiking and like stuff with kids and things like that. It's great because it's indestructible.
Right.
So I wear it, but that to me is like a piece of kit.
Yeah, exactly. It's more of like a toy.
Versus like these where it's like I'm actually building a collection. So I kind of think of my watch collection as being like my serious watches, for lack of a better word.
That's
and
fair.
Not like my Moonswatch and my G-Shock. Right. Those are toys. I agree with you 100%.
So going forward, I kind of said, I flirted with a few different, the 5140 and a few other, more complicated Pateks. Again, they're not necessarily round, but they add some interest and some complication. So that's definitely in the future for me. Also, a lot more Cartier is in the future. But that's kind of how I look at my collection. I like to have my steel tool, my steel dress, and then some other more fun dress pieces.
Steel dress is an interesting kind of concept for me because I don't think of steel watches in that way, although, there are some on the table that definitely are that category where it's a steel watch. And it was a sport watch at some point, but like these became dress watches of a sort, especially with the size and the
just the
thinness
finishes
of it
and
the level of finish and things like that. Like these are a steel dress watch, whereas you look at these kinds of things, and it's like, I would never tell somebody you couldn't wear it with a suit. I would never say that's not okay. There are people who try to make these rules and say, oh, you can't do that.
Yeah.
But to me, that's nonsense. You wear what you like and you make it be your style.
Right. 100%. I mean, I totally wear my Explorer with a suit sometimes when I feel like it,
yeah, exactly.
So now for you, run us through your collection a little bit.
So, let me get the camera switched back.
Start talking, buddy. What do you got? What do you got? Don't worry about it.
So, when I started here, I was kind of starting from ground zero. I was a musician before doing this, so I was not really in this world at that point when I started working here. And the first watch I got was one of these guys, which is a 36 mil Explorer. And to this day, it remains the watch I will not sell. It is, in my opinion, one of the most classic Rolex. This is the new model, so it's a little different, and it's sized for a small wrist. It's a little different, but in terms of the proportions and the way it fits on the wrist and everything, it's very much the same. And it is a truly wonderful piece in every way.
It's just, it's the modern version of the 1016 that I wear. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's the exact same thing. Nope,
we don't have it. So for me, that's always going to be like a cornerstone of my collection, because the reason I went with that originally was that I could wear it with a suit. I could wear it casually. It's indestructible. It's classic. Like, I liked all of that. I liked the story that goes with it of, you know, mountaineering and it's nature as a watch for exploration. I fell in love with the romance of that.
Sure.
And I still am. So that was there. And then I kind of went all over the place. You know, I had an IWC Portuguese regulator, which is kind of an oddball.
You had that for a long time, actually. Yeah.
I really liked that watch, but it was just a little too big for me in hand at 42. So traded that, got into a Vacheron Patrimony that was wonderful, and then traded that because I got my trapeze, which is the Patek 5489, and that is a rose gold asymmetric gondolo. That is another one now that I will never get rid of. That's an absolutely, like, I love that watch. And I feel like it's so weird, and we never see it.
Right.
And it's just, I don't know. There's something
we saw
about
that
it.
one other one, one other one with the rose and black dial.
The black dial that was a piece unique.
That was insane.
That was very special.
That was insane.
That was very special. And then a tangent into Longa for a little while, an 1815 manual wind, which again, I really enjoyed all of these watches. I would never look back at something I own and be like, I don't know why I bought that.
No, me neither.
I was really fortunate, you know, the moves I made, I liked them. But something better came along, you know, and then most of them ended up in this guy, which is a Patek 3940. And so I traded 5 of my watches into this. A couple of Rolex here and there. I had a nice vintage 5513 that I really loved.
But I mean,
Explorer too.
You consolidated way up for sure.
But yeah, that's the thing is, like, I miss them, but I don't regret it, because at the end of the day, this was, you know, like you said, to have the privilege of owning something like this to me is really special.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
And it's, you know.
So how many are in the current collection right now?
So current collection right now is really, it's like 4.
Same.
If you count that vintage Omega. So I've got this Omega from like 1939.
I remember that one. The tuxedo dial, right?
Sector dial.
Sector dial, yeah.
Which is very cool. I'm not sure about how much is original in that watch, but I love it.
Doesn't really matter. It looks cool.
It's very cool. And the case is in nice shape for that old. 3940, the Gondolo, and the 36 mil Explorer.
Right. Okay.
So for me, it's 2 dress and a sport watch.
And essentially, I have the same: 2 dress, two car. You have 2 Patek, a Rolex, and the Omega. I've got the 2 Cartier, and the Rolex and the AP.
Hopefully soon to add something there.
Yeah, exactly. I'm getting real itchy. I'm getting real itchy. But anyway, so like that kind of leads me into kind of a question, I guess, for everybody watching. You know, in the chat, you guys, let us know how many watches do you kind of see as like the ideal number to have in your watch box that you can, you know, you can comfortably rotate through. You can have different expressions of different things. What is kind of like that ideal number? I mean, I think personally, I almost feel like 5 is the right number. You know, I have 4 right now, and I find myself, I think I could easily add a 5th, but I think I'll probably be saying this forever. There will always be another one. Yeah.
That's N plus 1. You're at 4, 5 would be perfect.
All right, so a couple comments already. So JRF 1975 says 3,
Jeff says 3,
and then George says 12. So we have the complete opposite ends of the spectrum right now.
Max 7.
Yeah, and exactly. New York City Watch Dude, I can't keep myself to 8. Like, that's the thing, is that my wife says I only need...
Your wife is wrong.
3 grails.
You can
so this
tell her
is
she's
this
wrong.
is the thing, is that, like, I think it's going to be different for every person. I'm one of those guys who really likes to wear my stuff, and I find myself almost going through like seasons with a watch where, for whatever reason, like right now, I haven't reached for anything else but my Royal Oak, and it's not really, I can't even explain why. It's just every day when I get up, you know, I throw it on, it looks good with everything, it doesn't matter. And I've even worn it, you know, like on the weekends with t-shirts and whatever. It's not necessarily just because I'm wearing a suit here at work every day. You know, so I think if I had many more than 4 or 5, I would find myself neglecting pieces in the watch box for long stretches of time, which like just doesn't, I don't love doing that.
So it's funny, I see somebody say 3, I see somebody say 12, somebody said 7, I think. Like, it's funny, we're getting a lot of very conservative numbers.
Yeah.
And I have a client locally who has maybe about 100.
Yep.
And we're talking like nice watches. Like, you know, a range of things, not all crazy, not all cheap, but like, you know, we have customers who have massive collections, and I think about that number, and that's overwhelming to me.
Same.
I wouldn't even know what I had if I owned 100
So
watches.
you know the client that I'm going to be referring to here, but I have done countless deals with this guy. He's the nicest guy. He's got incredible taste.
Yeah.
But he has so many pieces that they live in his, a large percentage of them live in his safety deposit box, and he actually offers them to me completely unworn.
Having not even gotten to them yet.
Having not even gotten to them yet, because he has new stuff coming in, and it's just that constant flow, that constant churn of pieces. I get it too.
Because I am also easily distracted by the next shiny object.
Yes, you
right?
are. Yes, you are.
It's really difficult, and working here kind of helps it because you learn to figure out what you really want to own and what you can respect and admire from a distance.
Sure.
So, like, luckily, I haven't gone broke. Curating my own collection.
Yeah, we're getting there
at the store. But,
we're working on it.
But it's really easy. It's really easy to get carried away with all the cool stuff that comes in. So for me, I always think like that number is 6. I feel like at 6, I would kind of be maxed out, and I would say this is comfortable and good. But I could see myself easily spinning out of control. Like if I won the lottery, tomorrow, I could easily spin out of control.
No, we're not even going to go there. Not even going there. So
maybe that's next week.
Maybe that might be next week, yeah. But that'll be a very short discussion. It's just going to be don't do it. So 6. I kind of said 5. So how do you then, let's say your ideal collection is 6 pieces. What are the 6 pieces? Categories, styles, what are those 6 pieces that you're going to, and I was going to say, we can use the stuff that's on the table here.
I like that. 6 in a box and 1 on the wrist.
That's pretty solid. I like that.
Again,
got a nice
these
ring
are
to
numbers. I don't see anybody out here with the grand dreams, though. Nobody's like, 25 or 50 or like,
I don't know. See, the thing is that like,
customers? They got to be out there.
I'm not the type of guy who wants to own things just for the sake of owning them. You know what I mean? I don't get any satisfaction just by saying, I do have that and it happens to be in my safe. Like all of my stuff, regardless of, the quality or the cost of it, I want to be using it and like enjoying it, because I feel that if I'm going to spend a significant amount of money, whether it's on a watch or a suit or whatever it is, I want to get the enjoyment. Matthew, I'm not giving you any watches, buddy. I
don't think that's how you ask for endorsements. You might need to work on your media packet there.
Very open-ended question, but I want your opinion. Also, hello, bought a 2019 Hulk from you. I don't.
Cool. We'll look for the question.
Hit us with the question.
Give us the question, and we will absolutely.
Okay, we'll circle back to that.
Go back to I have a plan.
He's got a plan of 14, color, theme, 1 watch per brand. I have reached 9 of 14. Interesting.
Nice.
That's
funny. I know some guys who are into that, like 1 watch from each brand kind of thing, which I think is kind of cool as well. Craig, we miss you too.
I mean, so back to that. I like that idea because I've actually talked about it, here previously. That I really like to, again, whether it's watches or whatever the category might be, I like to buy whatever the brand does best. That is the thing that I like to have. I don't necessarily want to get, I don't even know how, like, I'm trying to think of a good example. I'm trying to think of a good example.
If you said I can only have 1 Patek, I'd punch you in the face and say no. Because I'm keeping my 2 Pateks. Sorry, I got to turn to violence.
You're just an angry guy. Jeez.
So I like, we've got a lot. This is really good.
We'll go back. We'll go back. It's okay.
Yeah.
So
going stuck in the weeds with Rolex. So many people
everybody does. Everybody does. So going back to what we were saying with putting together, let's say let's say 6. Let's go with the 6 watch. Yeah, David, let's go to the top down real quick.
Let's start talking about building something.
Yeah.
So we've got all of our stuff here, some of which you can see, some of which you can't, but we'll bring it into this area.
And if we're going to agree that we're going to go with basically 1 from each of the categories that we kind of loosely outlined here at the top of the discussion, let's play the game that way.
Okay. So
you start wherever you want.
You want me to start?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to start. So I'm going to start on this end here. We've got some classic, simple dress watches, and we've got some complicated watches. So I've got a Grand Seiko with like a nice kind of cream Probably a lacquer dial. Doesn't look metallic.
I can look it up.
But
I'm not sure.
We've got a Saxonia thin.
Yep.
Oh, we got live camera here, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a Patek.
I'm pretty sure it's mostly gentlemen.
I don't discriminate.
Okay.
I don't discriminate. We've got a really nice 3919, and then we get into some complicated stuff. We've got a Patek 5940 Perpetual.
Yep.
We've got a Cloisonné World Time, Breguet Tradition, Longa. It's huge. I can't really go through everything. I'll waste too much time. So, for me,
Wait, time out. Before you go, sorry. Are we playing the game as ideal pie in the sky? It doesn't cost no object, or are we thinking in our? I guess we have to.
What
right?
should we do? People of Instagram, should we have a price point? Hold on. What do you need? The Urwerk?
Okay.
Oh, you're
We'll
stealing
swap it out.
Urwerk?
We have another one.
There
It's
you
okay.
go.
This is the joy of running a live retail operation while we're trying to do this. Things are selling off the
is
table.
active.
It's QVC now.
Yeah, it's QVC, exactly.
Things are moving fast. There's only 5 left. Act now. The Ginsu knives are free. All right.
Let's just play the game as anything that's on this table is fair game.
Okay.
But it's one from each category.
All right. And we can, if we have time, we can kind of narrow the scope and try different things.
Yeah.
So, for the classic simple watch, which to me is really important, I'm going to be slightly unpredictable and go for the Longa Saxonia Thin.
Okay.
Because I think this exists at a really nice, interesting point, Max Fitch. Yeah. I don't think we're looking at it that way. We're not looking at it in terms of like the progression, because if we kind of talked about that in the beginning of this video, like your progression is a really different kind of thing because your taste evolves and changes, especially as you have more experience with watches. We're kind of talking about like, you know, everybody's kind of like, money's no object. I'm going to put this together and have something for every occasion. So this would be my simple, clean, beautiful watch. It's thin. It'd be a strap monster. You could put any color on this and it would look good.
Suede would look amazing.
You still get, oh yeah, like an Alcantara.
It looks sweet, yeah.
You still get the same level of movement finishing and decoration as you do on the expensive Longas. I think this is a good one. So that's number one, is Longa Saxonia Thin.
I mean, I'm going the exact same.
Oh, really? I thought you were going to go for the Patty.
No. So, I mean, maybe if we had maybe a 5227 or maybe a 6119 on the table, something like that, I may have skewed that way. But if I'm going for solid case back, yeah. If I'm going for just purely straightforward dress, I probably have you got it? Okay. Straightforward dress, you know, I want it to be clean. I want it to be as simple and straightforward as possible. And, like, you don't get any cleaner or dramatic or, you know, just very basic in the best possible way than that Longa.
I want to go with this, but I actually think if I'm comparing these two head to head, having that is a little bit better. And it just edges. It is more expensive, but it just edges this out.
I love small watches, but I don't the size difference between these two. You know
I'd wear this. I'd wear that.
The Patek?
Yeah.
Oh, I would wear it no problem too. But I'm just saying, I think for an everyday, you know, just dressy Calatrava kind of style piece, this is just perfect. You can't beat that.
Then, if I'm going to go something in the middle, something that is dressy or casual, and would kind of be like a multi-purpose watch, I'm going to go here.
Interesting.
And I'm going to add in this IWC Portuguese. Again, I own an IWC Portuguese. It was the steel with the silver and the blue. And it's so classic. Can you take that?
Yeah. Yes, please.
It is so classic. It is so perfect.
Yeah.
Depends on your age. Under 50, a Longa. Interesting. I had a couple clients the other day who were like, you know, do any young people buy Patek? And I was like, I'm not that old. Please, excuse me. But yes, I agree, Thomas. Great value on the Longa.
Yeah.
So this, and it's funny because this almost kind of goes with the Longa in terms of being somewhat German, right? Because we're talking Schaffhausen, we're talking the German side of Switzerland.
Yeah, you're not
with
wrong.
With the suit, like with the blue shirt.
Yeah, but turn it sideways, man. It's just no, it doesn't work for me.
Ain't that bad.
It doesn't work.
It's fine. And it's going to run forever. It's very cool. This is good. So, what do you pair next?
Well, so but what category was this? I don't even know what this was.
No, this is my.
You're in between.
So this is steel. Yeah. So when I look at it, I think about like, okay, I need a classic dress watch, which again is this Longa here.
Yeah.
I need, for me, I want something where it's like I can wear it casually, or I can wear it if I wanted to do like maybe I'm wearing a sport coat rather than a suit.
You're really splitting hairs here, buddy.
This is how I think. Welcome to my mind.
I don't know if I want to be in there, pal.
So if I want something that's like slightly more casual, maybe like a more casual strap,
then
I'm gonna go for the IWC in that case. It's also a cool watch, in my opinion, for that casual kind of thing.
If I was gonna go, if that's kind of what I'm thinking is not quite as dressy as your classic Calatrava, I'm gonna go to the other end of the table and I'm gonna go with that Ferrier over there. So
okay.
Obviously I'm kind of skipping around and we're going to that indie category, but I think for something that is, again, kind of not quite as dressy as either the Patek or the Longa, has a little bit more of a casual feel to it. This one clearly on that really nice suede strap, titanium case, that kind of silver opaline dial.
Yeah.
You really, like, this Classic Origin is incredible. I love that kind of oniony crown. It's got just a super elegant case shape.
It's
really
so good
subtle dial with those red. We just lost the overhead.
And it's titanium.
That's what I said, titanium. Yeah.
It's so light.
And look and show off that movement once that overhead comes back, because it's kind of similar to the Longa, not quite as decorated or interesting, I would say, but for pure horological engineering, like, look at that thing, with that dry escapement, that micro. This is actually it's not.
This
micro,
is
this is the manual
classic,
one. Sorry.
Yeah, the classic Origins are manually wound. So, but I really like the kind of. He does the edges. He does the beveled edges, but he doesn't do decoration. It's just like a material blasted.
It's got that anthracite finish on it, so it's that nice darker color. It's
so cool.
It's so cool.
I've come to really like this watch. I don't know. I felt kind of ambivalent when it first came out, and the fact that it was way over retail was difficult. I feel like now, if you're putting these two next to each other, that's really difficult. And I think
I'm going Ferrier.
This is more expensive, right?
It's
so this
30s.
is a little bit more than this, but like these two are a really good competition for each other, because I think you get really high quality watchmaking at both ends. So I like that. And this. It's a little too same for me, but
okay, all right.
I'll let you have it. So then let's pretend now it's like, okay, it's time for the Big Daddy, like kind of the complication that is going to be the centerpiece of the collection.
Yep.
And for that, we have to go AP Concept Tourbillon. No, he knows I'm joking.
Where are you going, buddy?
I love this watch, but
I
obviously
do.
that wouldn't exist in that point of my collection.
No.
No, I'm going here.
You love this watch.
I do, and I talk about this watch too much, but it's because to me this Patek is so undervalued, it's criminal.
You're not wrong there.
This is the Patek 5131J. So we have a cloisonné enamel dial in the middle of a world time. I'm gonna try to get close so you guys can truly appreciate.
So
how lovely this is.
These are completely stunning. There's a very small number of artisans that work for Patek that are qualified and have the knowledge and the skill to create these dials. So, it's already a limited production piece, but then, the fact that it's so difficult to create them and there's so few people that can make them means that like a small handful of these are produced every year.
And you put this on a green or a blue strap and like, oh man.
It's really special. And they're all slightly different because they're all hand enameled. So they're just, it's such a special piece that, like you're saying, does not get the attention that it deserves and is, like you said, criminally undervalued. You know.
And to me, to have this Saxonia in the box next to this is just so cool, because you're talking about something so simple and pure and clean, and then something that's very much the same. It's just two hands, right? Both of these are two-handed watches. They're super simple. They don't have a second hand, which you don't need.
So someone was asking price. This is the 52 or 50? No, this is the 51.
This is the 5131.
Hold on a second.
Yellow gold.
Yep. I know we did just sell a 5231, which is just the updated version.
And we just added a white gold 5131.
We did. So the 5131 in yellow right now is listed for 104.5. So not an insignificant amount of money, but given what it is, it's a bargain.
Okay. This and this are the same price.
Yeah. If you can't see what Rob is holding up, 5712. Like it's crazy.
It kills me.
You're right.
Me. Here.
So,
this.
There you go.
And this are the same price. And I'll say every single time that the watch world is illogical and irrational and doesn't make sense. And this is your perfect example.
Yeah.
How are these both basically $100K?
Right. Yeah. Crazy.
I don't know.
So if I'm looking at our selection of more complicated, dressier pieces, I mean, I can. I love that watch. If they made that in a smaller case size, I would be very, very interested. But I mean,
there's no way it could be smaller.
I know.
Every single inch of it.
I know. I got to go 5940. So I've actually show that guy off. Oh, I can do it over here. You're right. So
hey now, make him work.
Yeah, I don't like this. Rob is usually the Vanna White of this team. So this is nope, further away. Whatever. Anyways.
Here, give it to
Rob. Give it to Rob. Rob is the expert. So I have flirted with the 5940 for a long time. I have a
59 or 50.
I love the 5940.
Okay, what's the smaller one?
That's the 5040.
That's the 5040, right? You've
that
looked at that one too.
I much prefer this is more square as opposed to like an ovoid shape of the 5040. I have a real affinity for non-round watches, and obviously, it's a Patek Perpetual. You get the classic 240 in there, powering that watch. So,
but you also get Breguet numerals with this, which is pretty darn cool.
It's just unusual. I love it in yellow. I love it in all metals. It looks so special. It wears so nicely. I don't know. It's one of those ones that I keep coming back to. So yeah, exactly. So I mean, right, they're very closely related.
It's funny how close the size of this is. It doesn't like it when I move. Sorry.
That's okay, you got it.
How close the size of the tonneau is to my watch, which this is a 36 mil.
Right.
And this is very similar and actually has a more similar presence on the wrist than it does to like the 5140.
Yes.
Which is the round one.
Correct. So I mean, it's 37. In the most important dimension. It's all 37 by 44.5 roughly. So it really is not that much bigger than your 3940, and it wears so well.
It wears really well. It's super interesting.
And again, Patek with Breguet numerals, perpetual calendar, like it's and you get that display case back, and it's beautiful. Yep. So that's going to be the direction that I go, and I think I'd be honestly, even if I kind of widened out to other dressy, complicated pieces, I'm going to be pretty hard pressed to find something that I like better than the 5940. I feel like I've looked at Longomatics, I've looked at 1815 the annuals and whatnot, but I don't know. There's just something really special about this unusual kind of oddball from Patek.
Yeah. All right.
Cool.
Let's talk sport watch now.
Okay.
Let's say now we need a steel sport watch. We have a small cadre of those here.
Ooh,
we've got an AP 15202.
Yep.
We've got a 5712. We've got a Speedy because somebody said to us when we were asking about like collections in Instagram, somebody messaged and was just like Speedmaster.
Yeah.
We've got the 36 mil Explorer, and we've got the one that I am going to pick, which is a vintage 5513. And I believe this one is currently live on the site.
It is. I want to say that's the one from 1978. Let me take a look real quick.
This watch to me this is what I want if I'm going to buy a vintage Rolex.
Agreed.
This watch has some miles on it. The bezel is almost completely faded and ghosted out.
That bracelet is jangly as hell, and I love it.
There's a lot of motion on that and a lot of noise, which is great. But it is in good condition. You still have fairly good, thick, fat lugs. You've got a really nice dial and handset. It's aged absolutely beautifully.
Yep.
Like, look at that, man. And to me, this just has so much character.
Yeah.
And I don't have a new sub here, but just as like a new watch counterpoint, let's pull up the Speedmaster and put these next to each other. And I love a good Speedy, but it's like, to me, the individuality of this one is just so cool.
You can't
there's
match
so much more kind of interest here than there is here, even though this is arguably going to be more reliable. I would absolutely go this way.
I also think that, with that vintage 5513, more so than with that Speedy, with either of our Explorers or, a modern a modern sub or Sea Dweller or something like that, like, you can easily wear that watch with that suit and wouldn't even think twice. It looks perfect. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I like these on a strap too. You put it on like a cool like shell cordovan or something like that.
Look,
I think it's a great look there too. I wore mine on a strap because I didn't have a bracelet for it.
Really? I didn't remember that.
My 5513?
I didn't remember that it didn't.
It was so good looking. You were totally fine with it on a strap. You didn't care.
No, they really are. It has so much character, and it's basically a unique piece because none of these age the same way. Whether it's the fade of the bezel, the color of the loom.
If you sold it, you'd never find it again.
Never, ever again. So this is it's a 1978 5513 watch only. We're listing that piece for $14,900.
Yeah.
So again, it's so much watch for the money.
And the reason I picked up the AP is because I think you're going to take the AP.
I am, yeah.
And I actually, if you put both of these on the table and said money is no object, take whichever one you want, I would take the Rolex.
Interesting.
Legit. I would legit rather own this than this. And that's just my own personal, taste, because I would wear this so much more than I would wear this, even though this is the best.
I think I would be very hard pressed to say either or here. This is definitely an and for me. And I also think that they scratch different itches. Looking at those two next to each other, I almost don't even think that there's a comparison between the two. And even if you had, say, if we had a vintage 5402, so the original Royal Oak, and you put that next to that 5513, even that is not really a fair comparison. I really look at the Royal Oak and the extra thins, the 15202s, the 5402s, my piece. I look at them more as a dress piece than as a sport piece.
And it was originally marketed as a sport watch.
It was
right?
it was literally marketed as the most expensive steel sports watch.
But it was like the gentleman's sports watch.
Right.
Like a gentleman's race car kind of thing, right?
Right,
like it's that kind of idea behind it, that it was a sport watch, but it was also like super luxury because it's so thin. Like,
and this is another one that, like, so I love my my mid-sized Royal Oak, and
which is
like
not
I said,
a 14790. You told me.
No.
What is it?
I can't
4100 or something like that.
4100 ST.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
But anyway, so like I love mine, and I wear it all the time, and the past few years has almost.
It does look good.
It looks great, but the hype around this model over the past few years has almost made me embarrassed sometimes to wear my watch, because I absolutely love it, and I've had it for almost 7 years now. So I got it well before the hype kind of exploded on the model. 15202s were popular, but they weren't like the unobtainable Nautilus essentially that they've become. And because every finance dude and every frat bro who sees it or knows about the Royal Oak,
right.
I like to think of myself. I like to think of myself as more of a connoisseur when it comes to watches, and I hate always having the piece that everybody's like, oh, I know exactly what that is, but I can't walk away from it. And I've flirted with trading it for other pieces before, but I can never let it go because it's so perfect.
Right. Yeah.
What were you gonna say? Were you gonna ask if?
No, I was just gonna say it's really interesting too, because you got that when that watch was like $10,000 to $12,000.
Yeah. It has a box, like it has booklets, no papers, but I don't care. Like I'm never getting rid of it.
But
so
still, I mean, like you can't touch them for that price anymore. It's really
I don't know. You guys, have you ever had a watch where other people's appreciation for it, or like popular sentiment has kind of changed how you felt about it? I don't know. It's one of those weird things that, like, do I want to keep it? Do I want to get rid of it? But I don't know. It's never going anywhere. But so back to the sports watches, I'm picking the Royal Oak. I do think that every collector, every not good collector, but every serious watch collector at some point does probably.
Put this next to yours, just in front of that camera there, and then we can kind of just see.
Does need to have
size-wise.
I mean, they're like.
No to what, Jeff? Just no. And then we have
a little bit.
every Daytona. And you know what? I know people who do that. People who are like, I want to own every Daytona, and we have customers who have like
higher. I can't.
Who have like multiple Daytonas and things like that.
So
15202 Rose on Blue is good.
This is I am very I got it. I'll do it in a second. I am very bad with modeling watches, but this is very different than the
really
size
similar,
of mine.
Though.
They are.
Really,
I mean,
really
so that's kind of the beauty of my piece is that it's basically all the proportions are exactly the same as the 15202 and the classic.
Yeah. Well, that's why that one works so well.
That's why it works so well.
Because if you look at the modern ones, they're a little bit different. Like the 15450, 15550.
Okay, I see. So Goldenberg Derm said yes every Daytona, meaning he likes the watch, but it's annoying that everybody knows the watch, and I agree because I love Daytonas, and I love like just the 116520, the steel bezel. I really like the new one with the captured bezel.
Yep.
I love vintage ones, obviously. That's what it's called. The ring around it.
The prisoner bezel.
Yeah, exactly. It's frustrating because they're such great watches and they're so easy to wear and they're just like they're so satisfying. But it is annoying walking down the street and having everybody know what's on your wrist. And it's become a little bit of like you're almost signaling something,
I've often wondered if I would feel comfortable wearing a Richard Mille.
No problem.
Right? But with what you say in mind, the fact that everybody is going to know what that is because of tennis players and athletes and celebrities and all of that.
But I will say that you and I, the Richard Milles that you and I would choose to wear, they're not as distinctive and they're not as recognizable.
But I mean, you look at an RM67 and
it's a Frank Mueller. It's a Frank Mueller.
No. You like my Vanguard?
Yeah, exactly. So no, that's one that I probably would trade everything for at this point. I see that.
Watch medicine. I live in Miami. What are your choices for the Miami watch in the group?
Yeah, has
to be.
Right?
Is it just because of the white strap?
No, absolutely not.
This is basically in that Richard Mille kind of mode here because we have an AP concept tourbillon. The white strap to me does make it very South Florida.
This is the horological equivalent of pulling up to the valet in a Ferrari or something.
This has the doors that go like this.
Exactly. Or a McLaren, whatever.
This is a Lambo.
This is the supercar that you pull up to the valet and they're going to park it out front for you. It's not going to get put off to the side. It's not going to get put around the corner. It's going in front of the club or in front of the hotel, in front of the restaurant. That's what this watch is. Like, and that's what Miami is. You go because you want to floss. You want to show off.
Yep. Hey,
there you go.
It.
Exactly. Yes. Glad we nailed it.
So, I made a joke about this watch earlier, but the truth is that this is an absolute masterpiece of technology. When you learn what goes into these watches and the fact that the movements are actually made by the same workshop that makes a lot of the Richard Mille high complications
Reno and Poppy.
It's an awesome watch.
It is.
I love the shape of the case.
I do
too. The
too.
thickness for me would take some getting used to, but I think I could. It's not super heavy.
No.
It's fairly comfortable on the wrist. It's well designed in the way the strap comes off of the case. So it doesn't feel as big as it actually is because this lug to lug here, I'm moving too fast, sorry folks. This lug to lug here is quite long.
But like you said, it wears much better than you would expect.
I don't know if you'll get the case back. I'm going to try,
there you go.
It's pretty spectacular. It's a super cool watch, and this to me is very Miami.
Yeah. So Goldenberg Derm also said, he loves wearing FP Journe. It's only connoisseurs know the watch and recognize it. I think I do agree with you. I think that is changing somewhat. I feel like we've talked about it a little bit, but even when you and I started in the industry, it was really only industry people who knew about FP Journe or recognize them. Now, I think a lot more collectors and a lot more people who are just familiar with watches in general do know the brand and can recognize them. It's still nowhere near an AP.
A Daytona.
Oh my God, it's not even close to a Daytona.
That's true. Once Jordan,
once Jay-Z says it,
that will do it, right? Because they talk about Richard Mille. Obviously, Rollies are everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is a good point because then people hear it and they're like, "What's a Richard Mille?" And
Right.
that's how you get the explosion that those guys have
So,
had.
all right. So why don't we, if we're talking about this concept, we're talking about independence and whatnot, and it doesn't have to be one of these ones that's on the table. We do have some really awesome ones here with us, but if to fill that independent category, that independent slot on your in your collection, in your watch box, what are you going with?
Right. So, and I was actually thinking the next category, instead of being independence as it is, but just what are you taking that is completely outside of the box? Because we have these guys, we've got the bananas concept. I'm trying to do this, but I can't fit them all without
I can
clanging
help.
things around.
Hold
we
on,
got
let's
another. We got two Urworks because we lost one for a second, but it's back.
This is the better option, though.
Really? Hold on. Let's get Urworks here. So we're talking about
over here now, killing us.
Over here,
producer Dave on the button here. I cannot figure out how to. I don't like this one. No, it's killing me though. All right, going back over here.
Okay. Jeff said Parmigiani.
All right, so
Parmigiani is an interesting one too because that's living in that.
I want to just say something. So reacting to comments real quick. So you guys are definitely right. We are totally not jaded. We are, because we're exposed to so much every single day. We recognize everything, and I think we think that the regular collector or just like the regular person on the street knows or recognizes a lot more pieces and brands than they actually might. So, JSal16 saying the common person outside of the hobby has no idea what a lot of these watches are. And you are correct. We have to kind of remind ourselves of that because, again, we see all this stuff every single day. This is what we do day in, day out.
But he also said that, a lot of people have no idea what an RM is. And I think, yes, there is a big segment of the population. Like my grandmother had no idea what Richard Mille was.
My parents have no idea.
I think a lot of younger people are more aware of it.
Yes.
I think there is, compared to the 8 years ago when I started, you would wear a Nautilus down the street and people would say, wow, that's a cool watch. But they had no idea it was a $20,000 watch on your wrist.
Right.
Whereas I think now people see an RM. And it's like seeing somebody, I think back to when I had an uncle who retired and he bought a Corvette and he bought a two-tone Datejust.
Sweet.
And it was
the American dream, baby.
It was the midlife crisis starter pack, right? All he needed was some contact lenses.
Yeah.
But it was it was, and that two-tone Datejust, which we look at it now and we're like, oh, it's so classic, it's very cool, whatever. At the time, that was man, he did something right. He's successful, there it is. He's got a Rolex. And I think now Richard Mille and APs are now in that position where our kids are going to look at that and say, that's success.
Yeah.
Right? It's not going to be that two-tone Rolex. It's not going to be the two-tone sub with a blue dial, which for guys of our generation, there's a lot of nostalgia about that watch.
100%.
And having made it.
Right. Getting your gold watch. Anyways, all right, so back to indies.
Back to something crazy.
Or funky.
So let's add something crazy.
And again, it doesn't have to be, these are incredible options on the table. Happy to pick from those, but if there is something else that maybe that you have in mind that is not on the table that you would just go totally out of left field for, what are you going with? What's up?
Rolex is very hot in grade 5. Go back up, because I think Panko, North Carolina, I'm just hoping that's North Carolina, said, with that said, what did he say?
We're all here to learn.
Because he said the common person outside doesn't know the watches. And he
said, everybody's here to learn.
Okay.
It's all good.
We are. Yes.
Continue.
Anyway, adding something crazy.
Yes.
And to this, I would even add, shucks. Thanks. I would even add this Breguet to it. We've got a Breguet tradition. Which I have always loved these, and I love the hyper-modern kind of aspect of this, even though it's based off of a pocket watch that was made back in 17-foot size.
I was gonna say, this is hyper-modern, looking at that rotor, but also one of the most traditional pieces possibly on the table, based on what it is inspired by,
Okay.
Oh my God. It's such a pain in the ass. Go on.
It's called the tradition. I'll give you that. It's called the tradition.
It's inspired by a pocket watch from 1765. Continue.
So, I really like this watch. I've always liked the tradition, but I also have a real soft spot for the crazy stuff. I'm not going to pick up that Perpetual because that's
Which one?
This MBNF Perpetual, because that's just absolutely madness. And I think like there's just too much there. Like looking at that is just bananas. For me, I kind of come down to the Airworks.
Really?
I would put one of these in my collection, and to be honest with you, I would probably go
Really?
with this just because it is the most
The space helmet?
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, is it's like, this is so absurd.
It's completely absurd.
Look at that. Look at that.
I mean,
it's got a Targa roof, which is a great Porsche. I don't know anything about cars, but I know if I could have a Targa, that'd be badass. It's got the crown up at 12 o'clock, which is beautiful symmetry. It goes with the lines. We've got...
I was just going to say, David, it has a killer hairline. I was going to say, it's got my hairline. Jeez.
It's a Targa. Thank you very much. Nobody looks at a Porsche and says, oh, you've got a receding roofline there.
Oh, so you're saying that I have a Targa hairline? Thanks.
Hey, we're selling it now.
All right. I like this.
But that satellite display, which is like reminiscent of the old Star Wheels, it doesn't wear as badly as you would think.
Yeah, it doesn't wear as great as you would think.
I've got a 7 1/4 wrist. And this is completely comfortable. I would wear this. I would wear it with a suit. And just be a little bit ridiculous.
What's wrong with you? You would wear that with a suit? You look ridiculous.
And that's why I love it.
I know.
For the same reason that I'm going to buy a Panerai and I'm going to wear it with a suit. Because it's going to look ridiculous.
You already have worn a Panerai with a suit for quite a while now. Yeah. All right. I mean, I thoroughly appreciate, like you said, the complication that goes into this, the wandering hours, layout and format.
You're gonna pick.
I don't know if I'm gonna pick that yet.
Yes,
why do you think I'm stalling right now? I don't know. I don't
this.
know. I really do. If I was gonna go Urwerk, you gotta go this direction instead.
I actually would make the case. This is the UR100.
Yeah.
This is the Space Time, right? This is actually called the Space Time.
I can't remember.
This is the one that was made for collective. I wear my Shy D. I'm guessing that's a Sky Dweller daily with a suit. Bought from Amy.
There you go.
Like I said, I'll never tell somebody what you can and cannot wear.
Yeah.
You should wear whatever you like.
I just like giving you. I like giving you a hard time.
No, I'm talking to the people. I'm not talking to you. You're always.
You're never talking to me.
You're always wrong. It doesn't matter.
Anyways, UR100.
I don't know. This is also very cool. Now that I have it on my wrist, and this is actually almost like this cut to fit strap kind of fits me, so I do kind of.
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I right? Am I right?
No, I'll continue to say you're wrong. I still would prefer to be as absurd as I possibly can because life is too short. I have, if we're talking hypothetical collection, I already have I'm going to blend in, with my Normcore watch here, and wear this, which I would love it for its classic simplicity. If I was wearing a tux, I would probably wear this with a nice black lizard strap, and I would be real slick and under the radar. Yeah. But then if I'm gonna have this,
sure,
and if going on my hypothetical collection, if I'm gonna have this, which is also somebody, if you said draw a watch, somebody would draw this, and there you go. I then want something that's going to be what is that? I've never seen that. That's so cool. And this is close. This is close. But, too long. Bad transition. This is
I didn't want to say anything.
This is better.
I guess. I don't know.
This is better.
Whatever.
Because somebody's going to see that and be like, "Are you from the future?"
I don't think you need to worry about anybody asking you if you're from the future, my friend.
Are you from the future?
All right, so
are you an advanced
fine, Robert. I am gonna pick the MBNF. I am gonna pick the Legacy Machine Perpetual because look at this thing. Give me the overhead.
Look at it if you dare.
There.
Hopefully you haven't had too much coffee.
Insane. Yeah. Oh my God. So similarly to why I love the Datograph, when you flip the watch over and you're looking at the movement and there's so much depth and just the decoration and the intricacy that goes into the architecture of the piece, this is that, but you see it from the dial side. It's insane. You have that. Go up. Okay.
Stand up.
Nah, it's all right. Oh, that's perfect. Look at that. So, you have that flying balance over the top of everything, and then you have that crazy, this is white gold, Rob?
No,
this is the titanium.
This is titanium.
Okay, so the titanium with the green.
Background.
So you also, they also made it in gold with the blue. There is what else? There's a few other options.
There's a
few
purple
other
back.
variants.
I think there's some in platinum. There's some in gold. Like there's yellow and rose maybe. Do you know the price on this?
I can look right now. Let me see.
For Panko?
Yeah.
Are you in North Carolina? I'm guessing it's Panko, North Carolina. I like Panko.
Let me see. Hold on. But anyway, so if I'm going totally crazy, this doesn't fit my wrist to save my life. Like my wrist is too shrimpy for this. But let's see. Where is this guy?
Never say never.
So this isn't even listed on the site yet.
Oh, because we need a strap.
Oh, right. We're waiting on a strap.
Has an extra hole punched in it. So we're waiting for a good strap.
So, it's probably going to be 180-ish, something like that, 170, maybe a little more.
But, no, I disagree, Cosmo. It feels good. I'm very tactile. I'm very into how it feels and how it goes.
This is one of the few that, as you were winding,
I could. This has a nice crank,
and I could hear it, and it's very, it's a very distinct noise, which is
great.
great.
I do enjoy this watch. I knew he was going to pick it. So
it's just, it's so wild and it's so out there. I love what Max Busser does.
It's not bad for a 44.
It's not.
Really
You're right.
Not. It is tall because of that
course.
domed crystal, but ultimately, I think because it's not like a solid chunk like a Longa, it works.
Well, I'm also like we just said, this is the completely wild, out of left field option.
Right.
I'm not getting that one to slide under the cuff or be under the radar.
I'm not picking this work because of how it slides under the cuff. Absolutely not.
Right.
We've lost all our.
No, we got cameras. Don't you worry. Don't you worry.
And we're back.
I don't know. All right, so
There's so many things we didn't cover.
This always happens.
This is really hard because there are so many amazing watches on the table.
Devolve.
Like, I need a Reverso in my collection. I don't have one right now.
I was going to say, we didn't even get to non-round watches, which is our jam.
Best watch on the table, the Panerai. This is actually such a good one. This is the 676, which we have on the website. It's a 42 mil Luminor Due. And the way this thing sits on the wrist is divine.
Okay,
so
well, if we're going to go with like final thoughts here, platinum,
I love that too.
Longa Cabaret.
See, my collection has now gone from 6 to like,
I don't know.
I
could easily
60.
have a dozen.
I could own this table and be very happy.
I think so. One thing we should do actually, which I think we've talked about before, is we should pick 6 or 10 brands or whatever, and you and I pick like our favorite expression of that brand, our favorite option from that brand, and maybe ask people what they think too. We're just kind of workshopping with you right now. I don't know.
Do you want to see that? If you do, let us know.
Nobody wants to see that.
That's an interesting idea, right? Because you think about Omega, and 90% of people are going to say Speedmaster.
Mm-hmm.
You say Rolex, that's a little bit more varied, I think.
Sure.
You get people who say Sub, people who say Daytona, people who say President, which should be.
But even the reason that came to mind was thinking Longa, and a lot of people are going to say Datograph, but I don't know. I'm looking at this Cabaret, and I'm like, if I had to choose one watch from Longa, look at this. I love this watch so much.
This is like the most un-Longa though. They don't even make it anymore.
The best thing about this watch, once you're done showing, flip it over and show off that movement. It's a rectangular movement that was designed specifically for this watch alone. It's incredible.
It's a sin that they don't make this thing. They only make that crazy tourbillon.
They make the handwork Kunst one.
300 grand.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
It's an incredible size. I think it's more interesting than a Reverso. The movement is insane.
Oh yeah, sure.
You've got the big date. I don't know. It's so special. I love the Cabaret, and this one, this one's a little unobtainable for me right now. The platinum with the black dial, but you can get the rose gold. You can get a few other options at a more.
The rose gold black is
awesome.
Stunner as well. And then the rose gold silver with the moon.
The moon. Crazy.
They only made that in that one combination. If they did rose gold black with the moon,
crazy.
Would have been good.
Crazy.
So, yeah, that's a lot. We could have kept going too. This could have been the happy 2 hours, but I think we have to go.
I think we do too. Thank you guys for for interacting, for coming back, for making this a lot of fun for Rob and I every week. Once again, if you guys have ideas of what you want us to, or what you guys want to talk about, shoot us a message, shoot us a DM on Instagram. We're running out of ideas quickly, so we're gonna rely on you to tell us what to talk about. But really, thanks again. We really appreciate it. Great session. We best watches under 10. Yep, we've done that before, but I think we probably should do it again because we can talk about that forever.
I didn't get to do that, actually.
Were you not here for that?
I was not here. You had Zach for that one.
Oh, okay.
I was out.
Well, there you go. All right, so Panko.
There we go.
Stay tuned, man. We'll do that soon. So, again, thank you. We'll see you guys soon. Have a great rest of your week.
Cheers. Goodbye, all.